going to be doing some Halloween fun facts and some showing off some of my pictures of AI art that I made and some pictures from VRChat. So let's get into this. Did you know jack-o'-lanterns? The earliest jack-o'-lanterns were carved from turnips, potatoes, or beets, not pumpkins. The Irish brought the tradition to the United States in the 19th century. Candy corn is one of the oldest Halloween candies. Dating back to the 1880s, George Regner, a candy maker at Philadelphia's Wonderly Candy Company, is said to have invented it. Pumpkins are fruits. Pumpkins are technically fruits because they start as flowers and have seeds. Michael Myers' mask. The mask worn by Michael Myers in the 1978 horror film Halloween was actually a $2 Star Trek Captain James Kirk mask that was spray painted white and had the eye holes reshaped. The tradition of apple bobbing originally in Britain, where women would bob their heads in water to try to bite into apples named after their male suitors. Samhainophobia is the fear of Halloween. People with this phobia experience anxiety when they think about or experience anything related to Halloween. I would hate to be them. This holiday must really suck for them. Sorry for any of my followers who will get spooked, then I don't recommend listening to any of this or watching any of the videos that are coming out that are Halloween themed. I am so sorry. Halloween spending. In 2022, Americans plan to spend more than $10 billion on Halloween. Wow, that's a lot. Like, why would you spend so much money on Halloween? Well, I would understand why, but still. If you want to keep spooky spirits away, salt should do the trick. If you watch any supernatural shows, you might notice that some characters use salt as a way to protect themselves against frightening spirits. And there's a pretty good reason why. Some say that salt acts as a protective shield against evil spirits and malevolent entities, and has been a practice dating back to ancient times. Even if you're not a true believer, it can't hurt to sprinkle a bit on your doorstep should any unwelcome visitors stop by on a Halloween night. I also have done this practice myself. It also helps give out bad mojo jojo, like bad bad energy from entering the home. I have learned that it does work. Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th really did drown in the lake, kind of. The villainous serial killer from the infamous Friday the 13th franchise remains at the bottom of a Minnesota lake in statue form. Diver Doug Keyline, I'm botching his last name, so sorry, constructed a Jason Voorhees statue, mask and all, made of plywood, bubble wrap, and foam, and had it placed 120 feet down in a water-filled mine pit known as Lewis near Crosby, Minnesota. It's only able to be seen by the most advanced divers. So if you ever decide to go there, you can literally see him in the water. Like, that's pretty cool. There's a city in South Carolina that renamed itself Halloween. According to the state, a newspaper published in Columbia, South Carolina, back in 2022, a city in Horror County called Conway announced that for the month of October, they would be renamed the City of Halloween, in an effort to boost tourism and economic development during the fall season. since 2022. They have continued to do so every October, with each yearly celebration getting more and more festive by increasing the seasonal events, decor, and activities all month long. And one in 5 adults usually pretend not to be home on Halloween. In 2021, YouGov poll found that above 1 in 5 adults, or 21% of participants, keep the porch lights off and pretend not to be home when the trick-or-treaters come knocking, a number that radio station WBIW alleges has increased since, when the number more accurately being reported as 25% in 2023. That's quite a fair bit of people. Like, why would you go to such standards? Like, so if you hear beeping, I'm warming back up my noodles. I'm making ramen noodles for dinner. That's my dinner. From my Halloween dinner is my favorite teriyaki ramen noodles, which I'm really happy about. So don't worry. I'm maybe homeless. I told you I'm homeless, but still, ramen noodles is the best. Trick or treat was not necessarily the original phrase. Children would shout out to receive candy. Oh. Instead, the kids would usually yell, "Bells a nickel." Bells a nickel. That's kind of funny. According to the Library of Congress, historians argue that the modern call originated from Belsennickeling, a German-American Christmas tradition where kids dressed in costumes and went around to their neighbors to see if they could guess the identity of those dressed up. In some versions, if the adults couldn't accurately guess, the children were rewarded with treats and goodies. That's really interesting. There's a reason black and orange are colors most associated with Halloween. The Library of Congress reports that the colors of black and orange trace back to the Celtic festival of Samhain, a Gaelic festival marking the end of the harvest season and beginning of winter, or the darker half of the year. Thus, black represents the death of summer, while orange represents the life of fall harvest. Every 19 years, there's a full moon on Halloween. I think we had one last year on Halloween, if I do recall. Nothing quite adds to the energy of a great Halloween night than a dark sky and a full moon shining among it. But since they are so rare, according to NASA, you're only likely to see one every 19 years. Oh well, if anything, that makes one on Halloween night even more special. The holiday dates back more than 2,000 years. Halloween is even older than Christianity itself. It is also started as a pre-Christian Celtic festival called Samhain, which means summer's end, held at the beginning of November. The festive recognized the last day of the fall harvest and spirits crossing over, since they believed the veil between the living and spirit would grow thinnest at that time. People in the Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France used to ward off ghosts by lighting sacrificial bonfires, and you guessed it, wearing costumes to trick the spirits, according to History.com. Trick-or-treating has existed since medieval times, taking candy from strangers one night a year, and one night only. Isn't a new or uniquely American tradition. It once was known as guising in Scotland and Ireland. Young people dressed up in costumes and went door to door looking for food or money in exchange for performing songs, poems, or other tricks. Today, the tradition has formed into children getting dressed up and asking for candy. Hardly anyone sings for their mini stickers these days, but a simple thank you will go a long way. 10. Some Halloween rituals used to be geared towards finding a husband. Ooh, I'm so glad we don't do that nowadays. During the 18th century, single ladies devised Halloween traditions that were supposed to help them meet their romantic match. According to History.com, women used to throw apple peels over a shoulder, hoping to see their future husband's initials in the pattern they made when they landed. When bobbing for apples at parties, the winner would supposedly marry first. The winner, not winter, winner would supposedly marry first. But spookily, they even used to stand in a dark room holding a candle in front of a mirror to look for their future husband's face to appear in the glass. Bloody Mary, who? Oh my goodness. Like, no thank you. That sounds terrifying. Why would you do that? Our ancestors were really weird. And we thought we were spooky. Look back at our ancestors. Oh my goodness. 11. That's a number 11 on the thing that I'm reading. Immigrants helped popularize the holiday in the US when the Irish fled the potato famine that devastated their country in the 1840s. They brought their Halloween traditions with them. The celebration spread across the country until the mischievous Halloween pranksters reached all-time high in the 1920s. Some believe community-based trick-or-treating became popular in the 1930s as a way to control the many pranksters. I know I had still had pranksters back in my young days. Yes, I am old. I'm about to be 30 before you ask. I turned 30 this coming up month of November. Just FYI. Sugar rationing during World War II paused trick or treating. Because of the shortage of this sweet stuff, trick or treating wasn't as big of a thing during World War II. Oh, that's a shame. After the rationing ended, it was all systems go on the candy collecting front. Candy companies began launching advertising campaigns to cash in on the ritual and make sure kids were clamoring for their products to show up in their candy buckets and spare pillowcases. Ooh, went too far. Most Americans spend on candy, decorations, and costumes. Many of us put our money where our mouth is when it comes to loving Halloween. According to the National Retail Federation, broken down, it's estimated on average that people spent $108 per person on candy, decorations, and costumes, with numbers reaching overall $4.1 billion on costumes, $3.6 billion on candy, and $3.9 billion on decorations, and $500 million on greeting cards alone. Overall, Americans spent an average of $1,048 on winter holidays in 2019. If you're wondering why we all tighten our belts in January. But then you look at Christmas, and Christmas just like out the window. The Irish also brought us jack-o'-lanterns. The Irish. Can you believe it? As the story goes, an Irishman named Stingy Jack tricked the devil and therefore was not allowed into heaven or hell. So he spent his days roaming the earth carrying a lantern, hence the name Jack of the Lantern. Tell that story to the kids when you pick up your seasonal squash, and try not to get goosebumps when you carve up your own pumpkins this year. They used to be carved out of turnips, potatoes, and beets. Jack-o'-lanterns did originate in Ireland after all. Once Halloween became popular in America, people and local produce pumpkins like pumpkins instead. This year, you might consider adding some creative carvings to your Halloween tableau tabilu table for a more natural look that also has historical origins. When the holiday's over, they make a delicious dinner side dish. There's also traditional Halloween bread in Ireland. It's called barm brack, or just brack. The sweet loaf typically contains dark and golden raisins, as well as small hidden toy or ring, similar to the classic king cake at Mardi Gras. Tradition dictates that the person who finds the item will come into good fortune in the coming year. That is, as long as they don't choke on the trinket. Disney almost made Hocus Pocus a completely different movie. Everyone's Halloween fave was almost a freakier flick. The original title, Disney's Halloween House, had a much darker and scarier script. According to IMDb, not only that, but Leonardo DiCaprio was courted to play teenage heartthrob Max Dennison, but turned it down to appear in What's Eating Gilbert Grape instead. That would have been very interesting. He should have taken up the offer. But then again, we wouldn't have the awesome Hocus Pocus movie like we do now, to be quite frank. It's just okay. Illinois produces more than twice as many pumpkins than any other state. If you're in the market for a truly destination worthy pumpkin patch, head to the Heartland, the land of Lincoln has more than 17 million, no, 167,000 acres. They put the comma in the wrong section, so it looks funny. Devoted to gourd growing, according to the United States Department of Agriculture. Those Illinois farms typically grow about 37,500 pumpkin pounds per acre and about 630 million pounds of pumpkins overall in 2022, a number that has surely increased within the last 2 years. Candy corn was originally called chicken feed. The Glokit Confectionery Company originally sold the polarizing treat in boxes with a rooster on the front to appear in Americans' agricultural roots. According to National Geographic, the sugary recipe has come largely unchanged since the 1880s. Love 'em or hate 'em, you can't argue with that kind of consistency. So did not know that candy corn used to be chicken feed. That explains a lot. Monster Mash once reigned supreme on the Billboard charts. Bobby Boris Pickett reached number one on the Hot 100 in 1962, just before Halloween, and hit the charts again in 1973, but this time in August. More recently, in 2021, it re-entered the Billboard Hot 100 chart, number 37. You might even say it continued to be a graveyard smash. You can even visit a pumpkin patch in Hawaii. Head to Waimanalu Country Farms in Oahu to pick pumpkins while you're on the islands. I know, I'm sorry, native people. Please forgive me for botching that. I love y'all so much. Whether you live there or need a taste of home on vacation, looking for squash in Florida, try the Pick Patch in Dunleon. It's a watermelon farm the rest of the year, but pivots to pumpkins to cash in on the seasonal appeal. The Michael Myers mask in Halloween was a fascinating backstory. The famous horror movie villain comes from surprisingly innocent roots. When shooting the original 1978 film, production designer Tommy Lee Wallace picked up two masks from a Hollywood Boulevard magic shop, a clown mask and William Shatner as Captain Kirk in Star Trek. Tommy came in with the clown mask on and he went, "Oh, that's kind of scary." Then he put the Shatner mask and we stopped dead and said, "It's perfect." Actor Nick Castle told the New York Times they spray painted it white, made the eye holes bigger, and the rest is spine tingling history. The fast pumpkin carving ever only took 16.47 seconds. Stephen Clark of New York holds the Guinness World Records distinction, having speedily carved his lantern in October 2013. In order to nab the title, the jack-o'-lantern had to contain a complete face, including eyes, nose, mouth, and ears. No word on whether the expression was silly or scary. I have no clue. I don't know if these have been updated or if these are just random facts I found. I will post because it's on the housekeeping, um, and the Good Housekeeping um, magazines, which I usually read. This is from their website. So this is from the information that they've produced and found, and I will put these down for any of y'all to want to go back and reread these if y'all don't believe me in the description below. Just letting y'all know. New York City throws the biggest Halloween parade in the U.S. On an average year, the event draws more than 2 million spectators and includes about 70,000 participants. Joining in the route winds through Greenwich Village. It all began as the brainchild of Greenwich Village resident and puppeteer Ralph Lee, who just wanted to have a whimsical walk from house to house from his kids and their pals. With a local theater got wind of it, they joined in and expanded the event. It's gotten bigger, more creative, and more theatrical just about every year since for the New York City parade, Halloween parade. Princesses and superheroes rank as the most popular costumes. Barbie was one of the most popular costumes for adults last year, following the success of the Barbie movie, which premiered in July 2023. But princesses and superheroes still continue to be top choices, followed by witches, fairies, and dinosaurs, according to Google Trends. Reese's Cups are the top Halloween candy. There must be something about the blend of chocolate and peanut butter that can't keep people away, since Reese's Cups are the most popular Halloween candies, with M&Ms and Hot Tamales, Skittles, and Sour Patch Kids following in order to round out the top 5 favorites, according to CandyStore.com and Navigator Research. And although the ever iconic candy corn ranked among the worst Halloween candies in the past, according to a CandyStore.com survey, it made its return to the top 10 of favorite Halloween candy at number 8. No wonder Halloween night candy trades get so intense. A city in Canada banned teens over 16 from trick-or-treating. How dare you, Canada? Like, what in the world? According to CBC, anyone over the age of 16 caught trick-or-treating in Bathurst, Canada, faces up to a $200 fine. The city also has a curfew for all residents. So even those under 16 aren't allowed out after 8 p.m. on Halloween. The rules were instituted to curtail after dark mischief after a rash of pranks. Well, that's what you get. That's kind of not okay, but that 16, at least make it to 17 or 18. That 18, you're cut off as a kid at that age, and I think 18 would have been a reasonable age, not 16, to be fair. Harry Houdini died on Halloween in 1926. The famous magician, illusionist, and an entertainer died from peritoneist, I can't say that right, caused by a ruptured appendix, according to biography.com. However, as befits a man of mystery, multiple contradicting reports did surface at the time. Some say a band of angry spiritualists poisoned him, others that it was a student punching him in the stomach with his permission. that caused his appendix to burst. That's not good. Some shelters used to suspend black cat adoptions for Halloween. They feared that the animals were in danger from satanic cults that wanted them for nefarious purposes in the days leading up to Halloween. Now, though, shelters have gone in the opposite direction. Many even promote black cat adoptions in October, using the pre adoption screening and interview process to weed out anyone with less than snuggly intentions. Keene, New Hampshire holds the record for the most jack-o'-lanterns on display. In October 2013, the city broke the record with 30,581 lit pumpkins displayed around town, talking about lighting up the night. And the last and very last, Halloween fact of the day. The night before Halloween is called Mischief Night or Goosey Night. For those who lived on the East Coast and the Midwest, it's probably not news to you that lots of teens and tweens pull pranks on October 30th, but from toilet papering with the trees outside someone's house to egging cars and more dangerous capers, the tradition never really made its ways to the West Coast, at least not yet. And that, my friends, has been 31 plus Halloween facts that I give you for this year. I hope y'all have a wonderful Halloween and a wonderful year. 2024 was a wonderful year for some, not good for some, but I hope y'all have a wonderful, wonderful year. For the last 2 months of this year, I hope to see you soon. I'll be making some new facts for Thanksgiving and for Christmas, so be looking out for those. Love you guys. I lost my mouth. Love you guys. Y'all have a wonderful night. Bye.